Well, um, so we have a few options here. We can use magic, which we have been keeping. We've got 2 magic points that we can put into this. We can also do a sacrifice while we're at it to Orlanth. It's unfortunate that our god is not in here, but remember we need to be defensive. So, um, Orlanth would help us in offensive magic, I think. Umacht is the god of war, specifically war. I think he's all about slaughter. um, and then we have to choose whether we want to drive them off, kill as many as possible. I don't think we want to do that because we're not an aggressive clan. Taking captives, we don't like that. Or just survive. I don't think we're in such a bad way. Remember, we do have a few defensive structures. And then our tactics are really going to be what matters here. So skirmishing, maneuvering. I'm not really sure what maneuvering does. As far as game mechanics, I don't know what these actually do. So maybe the wiki has some information. Boo! I wish they were calm. Then we could talk our way out of this. Okay, what's this wiki that you keep looking at? Because I need some information here. Is it just the fandom one? Battle. Okay, so the battle system has 2 stages. The initial clash. A clash is when 2 sides size each other up and try to force their vision on how the battle should be fought. During the initial clash, the tactics you have decided to take are compared to the enemy's tactics. Winning this initial stage will give you a bonus for the second stage. However, it does not guarantee victory. Tides of battle are unpredictable. If you win the second stage, you win the battle. Okay, so what's the second stage? Sometimes during the melee stage, one of your nobles will face a decision in heroic combat. Yeah, that tends to happen. Okay, so the magic bar allows you to decide how much magic, if any, you want to spend. Spending it during magic point, okay, blah blah blah. It will give you an edge to overpower your enemy's magic during the clash. Magic is somewhat limited in effect here. It's worthwhile to use 1 to 3 points to help with a critical battle, but the bravery of your warriors overcomes even the most powerful magic. You can use battle treasures, which we don't have. Sacrificing, if you want to sacrifice to Humacht or Orlanth for luck on the battlefield, here's is your chance. Orlanth increases the odds of winning the initial clash, thus netting you a bonus for the melee stage, whereas sacrificing for Humacht increases the odds of winning the melee stage and thus the battle. Also reduces the effectiveness of enemy auxiliaries. Foregoing sacrifice can be useful at times because it is time consuming. If one side charges while the other side is still sacrificing, then the sacrifice is nullified. Okay, so that's important to remember. Uh, we we spotted them, so we're not surprised. So we might actually have time for it. Note that the time it takes to sacrifice is cumulative. For example, sacrificing to both will take twice as long as sacrificing to only one. Okay, um, so that's something to think about. Also, now down here in the objectives, driving them off results in normal casualties and works well with skirmish or charge. Skirmishing. Okay, let me actually look at the tactics first. Tactics, they affect the outcome of the initial clash. Okay, so the initial setup to give us an advantage or not. Due to the uncertainty of battle influence of magic and treasures, it's possible for most tactics to succeed against most other tactics with special exceptions below. Okay, so uh, Horse spawn tended to have 50-50 odds for skirmish or charge. Okay, so these guys are horse spawn. That's important to remember. So if we enemy or okay, so they are more likely to do a skirmish or a charge then, basically is what it's saying. So the way we counter that is oh boy, there's all sorts of outcomes for this. This is pretty in depth. Okay, Caleb, good luck. um, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, so okay, so let's go back up and take this to the objectives. So the objectives, if we do a drive them off, that is normal casualties. If we do kill or take captives, we are at high risk with low success rate, and we probably don't want to do that anyway since we're not an offensive tribe. Survival is the lowest casualties, but will also mean that we are more likely to be plundered. So drive them off is pretty much the typical objective here, and will work well with skirmishing and charging. Skirmishing slightly reduces casualties, but also slightly reduces our chance of victory. Charging is the standard Orlanthy combat tactic and can interrupt enemy sacrifice if you made fewer sacrifices. So bearing in mind that the horse lords here have a 50-50 chance of picking skirmish or charge, if they pick charge, that means that they will also have a better chance of interrupting a sacrifice of ours. Maneuvering is a high risk, high reward, slightly more successful when defending tactic. We are defending. And then evade is moderately reducing casualties, but then we also reduce chance of victory. So it seems to me like the standard thing here would be driving them off and skirmishing. Maneuvering, it says we get slightly more success when we're defending, but it's also high risk. It is also high reward, however, which means that if we do it, we might have a better chance against these guys. And if we do a skirmish, okay. So there are special outcomes to depending on what we choose. If the two sides take particular moves, there is a unique result. So if they choose skirmish, which they have a 50% chance of doing, and we choose skirmish, both sides will exchange missile fire and never close, which I guess means we skip any melee. I think if we get into melee with some horse lords, we're going to be in trouble. Especially since there are 153 mounted. And we've got, what, 40 horses? Oh boy. Hey, Zoc. Thanks for the sub. Oh boy, guys. Well, if we utilize some magic, that will help. If we do a sacrifice and it works, that will also help. Of all of these, driving them off seems to be the only choice we have if we don't want to just get completely torn apart. Otherwise, we could aim for survival, but they're totally going to overrun us and plunder the place. So if I were to make a suggestion, I would say let's try and drive them off. And then it comes down to either skirmish or maneuver. Again, if we do evade, we're most likely going to be losing. So I guess that kind of comes down to whether we think that between our defensive fortifications, the god of defense that is our patron, um, and all of the people coming out, if we could manage to hold on to a defense, maneuvering gives us a slight bonus. I don't know what slight means, but it gives us a little bit of a bonus to defense. Skirmish seems to give us closer odds, especially if they choose skirmish. If we charge, I think we're going to get slaughtered, even though it says that charging is the standard Orlanthi tactic. We're going up against horses. I think that matters. So let's start at the top. Just because they felt like it. That's why we're being attacked. It just happened to be one of the events. I was wrong, thinking that this year we were supposed to have good luck. I thought we'd be safe from this sort of thing, but apparently not. And I think that now that we have been found by the Horse Lords, we are also more likely to be seeing them again in the future. So that's something to bear in mind too, that if we lose, I think they're more likely to come back because they're going to see us as a soft target. So that's the risk here of just kind of letting them through. On the other hand, there's a lot of them on horses. So but we do have some advantage here. We can use our magic, and we can do a sacrifice. Well, you know, if we... I don't think... Unlike the other clans, we can't attack the horse nomads, because they are nomads. They wander around. This would be different if it was another clan, because then we could retaliate and call in our allies. We have no allies for this. So, these guys will be back. We just have to determine how soon they'll be back. Basically by how this all comes to the end. And see, we're getting a little bit of buffering. So anyway, we have not used our reserve magic for a while. The past few years that we've had some saved, we've never used it. This is an opportunity now to use it. So we could put two into magic and do a sacrifice, which I think would give us a pretty good bonus. But then we just have to decide whether we want to stand and fight, which I think we do, and then whether we're going to go for a riskier maneuver or if we're just going to skirmish. So let's focus on this top part first. How are we preparing for this? Are we going to do a sacrifice? Just do a Wile E. Coyote shooting a child out of a bow, giant bow thing. I do think we have a lot of kids here. What was the, Okay, so Humacht. Okay, yeah. So if we do Orlanth, we get a bonus in the second stage. If we do Humacht, it increases the odds of winning the overall battle. So basically, sacrificing to Orlanth sets us up early, and Humacht is basically anticipating that we'll lose the initial stage, and then they'll come through. But I personally would suggest we use up all of our magic, at least one, but we could definitely do two. It is still early in the year, we may need it later, but like I said, we haven't before, so should we use all the magic, or just the one? I do know that the Horse Lords are kind of scary as far as enemies. Like I said, they are all mounted. That's 150 horses. I do not know if they use magic, though. No. So magic seems to be, it gives us a boost, but I think it gives us an increase in the odds relative to their magic. So if our magic is more powerful than their magic, then that gives us a bonus during this first round. So using all of our magic, because it's between 1 and 3, gives us a better chance of overcoming their magic. Okay, so we'll do that. So, sacrifice. Should we do a sacrifice, or should we forego it? Giving a sacrifice gives us a bonus, but they have a chance to break our sacrifice. So, excuse me, remember that they have a 50-50 chance of charging. If they choose charge, they're going to ruin our sacrifice. If they choose skirmish, though, we might still have a chance since we spotted them early. So this is where having the patrols and whatnot matters, because it means that you know, it will impact who can come to the fight. Everybody in the village is coming to the fight right now, and because of that, we might have time for a sacrifice. So it's basically a coin flip. Yeah, we could definitely use the blues right now. So, do heads? Okay, I'm not sure what. I don't have a coin with me. Well, so basically, we can sacrifice and try and get an early advantage, or we can just not. So for me, from what I understand here, if we didn't sacrifice and we charged, that would give us a better chance of breaking their sacrifices. The sacrifice is going to give us, yeah, it takes time to set up, but it will possibly give us a bonus. So we don't know if they're attacking right now, or if they're also going to sacrifice before the battle. This is what the preparation is all about. So, again, the wiki seems to think there's a 50-50 chance that they'll skirmish, which probably means they'll take time to sacrifice, or they'll just charge, which could break our sacrifice. Could break our sacrifice. All of this is up in the air. I'm sure there's tons of random number generation back there. But basically it puts us on the back foot if we are caught with our pants down sacrificing and they charge us. Yeah. Overall, I think that attempting to sacrifice is a good idea, but just because if we don't sacrifice, we're not going to get a bonus from them at all. We're relying purely on our magic. Should we excuse me, take the risk and do a sacrifice? I think because we are aware of them, we might have a chance. Yes, they do. So it's kind of like a not really rock paper scissors, but it is in a way. So the AI will choose these same things for them, and depending on what we choose together, it will have some outcomes. Right. So according to the wiki, the Horse Lords, where is this? The Horse Lords have a 50-50 chance of choosing skirmishing or charging. So there's a 50% chance that they won't just charge us immediately, basically. But if they do, then the odds are likely that they will prevent us from completing the sacrifice. But at the same time, it says that enemy clans almost always charge. So technically, we actually have better odds against the Horse Lords not charging than we would a regular clan. So maybe we shouldn't let that worry us about the sacrifice. Meanwhile, while we're all here debating whether we should sacrifice or not, the Horse Lords ran through our lines, overran the village. uh, well, honestly, I think that this is not something that we charge and hope they sacrifice, but maybe we're interested in getting it. Yeah, I would personally not think that we should charge, mostly because we're going up against horse riders. I think, especially since our god is more defensive, I don't think we're going to do very well with charging. Remember, we didn't put any magic into battle this year. So, being defensive is better for us. But to overcome them in the beginning, I mean, sacrificing appears to give us a pretty good bonus in the fight. So I think it's worth doing, especially if we have 50-50 odds. It just seems like we may as well. We're outnumbered, so we should at least try and gain all the advantages we can. I'm gonna say we'll just go ahead and do a sacrifice to Orlanth. Give that a shot. So the last thing then is just deciding whether to maneuver or skirmish. The wiki implies that maneuvering is better for defense. Skirmishing actually reduces our chance of victory. So, should we just give this a shot? See where it's at? I think I'm also going to restart the stream when this is over, because it seems like there's quite a bit of lag right now. Okay. Let's just do this and see what happens. Jareen. The horse nomad charge hit us before we could reach advantageous ground. The fighting was fierce, their battle magic was stronger than ours, but we were not dismayed. We drove off the horse nomads, and their survivors left without plundering our Tula. We captured 24 horses. We didn't lose anybody. We didn't even get wounded. We didn't even get wounded at all. We killed 14 of theirs and wounded 15. We killed 3 of their elite fighters, wounded 5 of them. Holy crap, that was awesome. That was the best of all choices. Jareen didn't even have to get in there and fight. And that's weird, too, that their magic was stronger than ours. Interesting. Okay. We got some goods out of it, too. Hooray. Okay. Before we continue on with this, I'm going to restart the stream because there is quite a bit of lag right now. And I would like us to... Well, hold on a minute. Maybe seems like it's stabilized now. Thanks, Zoc.